Okay, it's 6:02, January 21st. We're gathered for our selectmen's meeting. I'd like to open the meeting with a roll call. Select persons present, Jeff Peters, Mike Gould. Employees present, Michelle Nichols, Kelsey Ring. Absent are Brian Mullis. For any of you that don't know, Brian is in the hospital and we expect for a while. And Matt Blockler is also absent. He is at training. Let's start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remove your hats. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first item is open session. Has anybody brought anything for open session? Okay,
At
see
this point, I did not put Matt's report on the agenda. If you, I don't know when you want to bring his report, if you want to read it.
Can we put it in with the town manager, road commissioner, and his report?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, seeing no open session, we'll move on. Signing the minutes of the board meeting, January 27th, 2026. Okay, item 4, review of the treasurer's warrants, payroll 5 and 6. Okay, and accounts payable, number 7. Okay, and next, we need to sign the Androscoggin bank statements. These statements are for our reserve funds and our operating accounts. Okay, next is old business. Before we get started on this, I believe there's merit in just good conversation, and as a group, I'd like to have that format here, where questions and answers, we're gonna ask, no talking over each other, one at a time. If that goes sideways, then we'll put all questions and answers through the chair. At this point, I think it's more productive to have interactive conversation. So our first order of old business is Roof Systems of Maine and our engineer Steve. And just a brief statement, this company did the roofing work on the old municipal building. They are coming to answer some questions for the board and for the building committee who have concerning the building. And engineer Steve Giovanni will be present, and he's here. Okay, so at this point, Dennis, I'm gonna turn this over for your committee to ask the questions that you have of Steve and of Roof Systems of Maine.
All right, well, the estimate, the bid that we got for repairing the dormer on the north side and for patching broken shingles and flashing was $18,800 plus rental of the lift. I stopped and checked on the boys a couple times. About the second week, I asked them how it was going, and they said, oh, we're pretty near done. I said, okay. And I said, what'd you find out with the dormer? Well, we're not doing the dormer. I said, really? Yep. Okay. As far as they were concerned, they were just patching broken shingles and a couple of flashings. I texted Steve, and next week they came and started tearing into that dormer. When that first dormer was done, if my memory serves me right, the price had gone up to close to $30,000 or so, something in that ballpark. And we asked about the other two dormers, and they did the east dormer, and then I think the price was up to 50-something thousand. And the south dormer, as far as we know, it's not leaking and it's not a big issue, but that one didn't get touched. We thought they were going to. The lift sat there for, I thought they were going to do something on the south dormer, and they didn't. The lift sat there for a week or more, and I texted Steve, and he got back with me after a couple of days and said, well, they're done. So I was able to use it and do some work on the fascia up there. And I guess the issues now revolve around a job that we thought was $18,800. There was another estimate at the time that a fellow from Vermont came, and he gave us a price in the 30,000 range, something like that. And obviously we said, well, 18,800 is better than 30,000, so that's what we figured. And now we're looking at 50. I don't know, I had a couple of questions. I don't know how you guys, how you would repair something like that. The flashing there. And a split shingle like that. With copper under it. The broken one with the flashing showing, neither one of those are probably going to leak. They're not leaking problems. I wouldn't run and get somebody to go up and fix those the way they are right now. If I'd been up there with a lift and a crew doing that at the time, I would have fixed them. It's my approach. And maybe that's just the difference between me and the way some other people do business. I'm fairly particular about things, and if that were on the back of my woodshed, I wouldn't have a second thought about it ever. But being where it is on that building up there, and we had a crew there working on it, I would have thought details like that would have been taken care of. I haven't gone over the whole roof, though. Those are just a couple spots that I could see from the top and get a picture of. Our big issue, right, this is kind of minor, our biggest issue is the difference between the 18,800 and the 50,000. And I guess that's where we stand.
I don't mind speaking. I'm JT Brindell, I'm Vice President at Roof Systems. This is Wes Stinson, he's our service manager. Wes and I first came out here initially and met with some of you folks, and not Steve, but George was here. There was a few other people from Wentworth. We met and walked the area and talked about the issues you folks had going on. At that time, I think we had proposed no work associated with the dormers. It was some repairs we were going to make to ongoing leaks you guys had. That was what we were first contracted with Wentworth to do, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was the assessment of all.
It was 2 weeks worth
Yeah.
with the 80-foot lift, minor repairs on the rubber roof, and repairs as needed on the slate. After we got on site with the guys and they did that assessment, we passed along information that the dormers needed some work. New price was submitted to Wentworth and approved. We moved forward till we reached that dormer getting done in that limit of a number that had been agreed upon. At that point, we, I think, expressed the other dormers should be worked on or requested by you folks. We proposed again another budgetary estimate. All this work was being done on time and materials, as you know, digging into something that we couldn't put visual eyes on. There was a lot of stuff. Take the slate off, you know, we found things like rotten wood, no flashings, no underlayment. Again, all of this out of an 80-foot lift. And then on the other side, actually off planks because we couldn't access it with the lift. We did get over to that side, took care of that second dormer, reworked it. At that point, we had reached the limit based on time and materials budgeted, and we had made the call to Wentworth that we had reached that limit. And at that point, I think it took a week, and that's when the lift sat stagnant because we didn't know if we were approved to continue or we had reached that limit of money that was allocated. Everything we have, time and materials, with GPSs in our trucks, the guys are tracked, pricing is based on the time the guys are on site, travel is based on the time the truck is moving. I know those two items you just pointed out. My guess is if it happened after we were here, if the guys didn't get to it, they had hopes of returning and finishing the last dormer. If it was stuff that they installed that didn't get done correctly, by all means, that's something we would certainly come take care of for you. That's a new one that they had installed.
They installed the one, they changed that one in August.
Yeah.
Probably broke that one in the process.
Probably.
That
yeah.
happens.
Yep.
Then there's
It
none
does
of that.
have copper behind it, so my
Yeah.
guess is
It's not gonna leak.
they got the flashing in
It's not
behind
gonna
it.
leak, but and that, there was
Mhm.
a corner there hanging out.
Sure. So again, repairs, how far do you go, right? We tell our guys if you got a week to get as much done as you do based on the budget, they fix every little thing on the roof or they concentrate their time on the dormer. We tried to communicate the best we could. There was lots of reports with photos passed along throughout the project. I know Wes made several site visits. It sounds like you were on site quite often as well. But we reached that limit of the budget we were given, and unfortunately, we weren't able to complete all three dormers.
I have a question kind of going back to when you're giving quotes and additional, statements of work that you had put in, we never seen them, so I didn't know, like, what do you guys have in writing saying this was the quote, the very first one, and what you covered? And then what are the paper agreements that write out what you guys are gonna be doing for the work?
So this,
So basically, did we, I think what you're saying, did we have a written estimate of the scope of work on there, on what was gonna be done?
Yeah, so that's
Did
what I was
it,
gonna.
did it include the dormers or not?
So we do have the original work, because those had, each time there was a number and an approval that came through this, a meeting just like this. So each time there was a presentation went through, so when we give it from the original number up to, I think it was 26,000 was,
26,500 plus or minus is what it says.
yeah, added to, yeah, that was the dormer, and then once they finished that one, it was, what do the next two dormers look like? Weston provided an estimate at that time for us as well, based on the time it took here, because I think this was six man days, 2 men, so 12 man days total was what they spent on this dormer, on the north dormer. And then that number projected across to the other 2 dormers, that's where they established the price for the 56,000 or 57,000.
57,860 plus or minus.
So that came from their experience and materials related to the first dormer, the north dormer, when that was done. Under anticipation, so yeah, that's where I would say, the communication, so I feel that the communication was up to par anyway between us, the select board, and what was happening on site, up into the 26, or to the 26.5. And then, it's the last 2 dormers that the price really, took off at that point. We had an estimate up to 57,800, as you just said, to do the last 2 dormers. But as JT just said, you know, and I did say this to Wes numerous times as well, is, you know, when they did the first dormer, they had direct access from the machine in the parking lot. It was very clean, but that second dormer was gonna take a lot more time because of the access from the front was a lot different than, especially onto the south side of that east dormer, you know, you just, how do you get in there? So I wanted to make sure we were capturing all that, but, you know, I think that's the one where things went sour. And I said, you know, I was in here when I was the one that had to tell you, it had gone from 26 to 57, you know, I sat in this room for an hour and 10 minutes, and, you know, there was a lot of conversation, spirited conversation, I'd say, about that one, so, that's my recollection of how things sat for this.
My interpretation, from sitting here through all the conversations, when we were at the 26,500, we had gotten into the rot in the dormers, and kind of knew it was gonna go beyond that. My interpretation, the last conversation we had, that we were gonna end up near $50,000, but my interpretation of that was the roof completely done, all the dormers. And there's been a lot of question about, you know, we're even beyond where we thought we would be in this one dormer that's not done. And I've heard a lot of commentary about it, and that was the point of having this meeting, to number one, to clarify everything, and kind of a justification of the spending, so to speak. Dennis?
I guess My misconception was that we understood initially the 18,800 was broken shingles and the north dormer that was leaking, because we knew that dormer was leaking, but we didn't. And your interpretation of that is that that north dormer was not included in that initial bid.
I have it right here. Nothing mentioned in this about
Nothing was mentioned.
about specific work for that dormer.
Within that quote?
Yeah, this was from March 18th.
See, we've never seen
Of
that.
course, this was
Yeah.
from March.
Yeah, and that's, so I'm gonna respectfully disagree, the change order that went from the 18.8 to the 26 was because of them opening up the north dormer and seeing how much extra work there was. Once they recognized that the metal flashing, they didn't even go all the way to the peaks, they were seeing the patchwork from whoever did the previous work, were literally just epoxy or caulked two pieces together, so that's what was holding it down, wasn't even nailed. What the two gentlemen discovered up there was what triggered the change order to get that dormer complete. So that's what brought us from 18.8 to 26.5.
Sure, and I think we had given those budgetary numbers, one was for a week, and we got back to 2 weeks, and hopefully being able to talk to that dormer.
Yes, so,
You can speak.
yeah, what was the gentleman from your company that we met out here that day? Older gentleman with
George.
the mustache, yeah, okay, George.
Yeah. I was out here the first day,
Yeah,
I met with you and
exactly.
Mason.
Yep, and we did the walkthrough there, so, upon talking, we were explaining that all the billing was to go through Wentworth and we're gonna
That is not a true statement.
that is,
That is absolutely not a true statement.
so we had never reached anything to go through the town for any kind of billing or anything like that, it was,
Because when those statements were made, they were made with the Mason there as well. It was you and the Mason. And the Mason understood immediately. You guys got the bill from the Mason, 2 days later that the Mason was paid. So
Now, we were specifically told all of our communication needed to go through you.
communication, but it wasn't the billing.
okay, so regardless, I mean, not to fight on that, that is
Yeah.
tomato, tomato, we can go, but, so our interpretation was that we were subcontracted through, that's why my communication had gone through you in the tunnel, how it did, and that's where we're at. So, but that being said, we had drawn up, because I had written this up and I sat with JT on it. Originally, the scope was to look over the rubber roof, because we knew there were issues, and then replace any broken, missing slate. So that's why in that quote, there was never anything about the dormer.
Okay, now, I specifically met with you fellows and pointed out where that dormer was leaking. Do you remember that, Steve?
Yeah.
Mike, remember that?
I do,
You don't remember that?
but I specifically remember the leaks around the dormer, not reworking the entire dormer.
Well, we knew it was leaking from the
Sure,
dormer.
sure, but we were hopeful it could have been some slate or flashing,
Right.
not opening up the entire dormer and
And,
reworking.
but as far as our understanding, that bid that you gave us included that dormer, and you say it didn't. So that's where the big difference lies.
Right. We had a miscommunication. And then, but that's what led to the next thing was that, we talked amongst the group, we had talked with Steve, and we said, hey, listen, this dormer, I sent the pictures, I said, we're in bad shape, Steve, what do you think? And Steve said, listen, I wanna treat these guys right, I wanna make sure that everything is done to par, we're putting our name on it, we own, let's do the best for our ability, we're not gonna leave anything, half-turned or anything like that, so let's do it. So we dove into it, he had a meeting, we come back, we finished up that first dormer, that's when we came back with the other quote, because it was, hey, listen, these dormers are in way deeper need than what we had originally planned for. When we opened them up, as Steve said, things were exposed, the roof boards were exposed, we had a lot of rot, we took, boards out of it completely. Again, there was no underlayment, there was no, ice and water shield, there was no anything, so it was really, you could really see where the leaks were coming from, a lot of issues were there. But we tried to go above and beyond for you folks to make sure that we were replacing everything exactly how it needed to be to hold up for time. Steve and I had talked about it, we wanted to give you the best product we possibly could with our time on site. We wanted, so we did that, we went above and beyond, and there was no stopping, we weren't trying to halfway you. Those couple pieces that you're showing us, disappointed. We didn't see them in the photos that I had. I didn't get up there in the 80-foot lift, but I had a bunch of finished photos and different things like that. It looked like we did a really great job, and at the end of the day, I mean, we gave you guys 100% effort. We were given a cap, not to go over that cap, and unfortunately, that led us to 2 out of the 3 dormers, and that's where we were. At that point, it was just giving you the best work we could, making sure that everything was gonna be dry, it was gonna be leak-free and fixed there.
Well, yeah, so again, from the original price to the 26.5, that was that extra week to really wrap up that dormer, and again, you guys
Right.
did a great job. But I say that, I got to see, I went up on the lift, I saw the damage after you showed me via pictures. And then I came to the town, and then we discussed bringing it from the 18 to 26.5. So those are things, like you just said, those weren't approvals that I made.
Right.
Those are just the communication between you and I that I
Yep.
then brought here. Every time I got my notes and pictures from you guys,
Yep.
I was here with them.
Right.
So that's really what my function is and was.
Understood.
All the approvals had to come from here to keep moving, and again, going from the, I don't think there's any real complaints. Obviously there's questions, as you guys wrapped up, no one was questioning the work, they could see the photos,
Yep.
they could see on the north dormer. But when we came back and said this was gonna be the price for the next 2 dormers, again, that was a more spirited conversation as to how did we get here from 18 or 26,000 to, all right, now we need all that. And, but the town, in my opinion, the town, made a solid decision in the protection of the building, to keep moving and because of the quality of work. That's, I can see, from their perspective as to why right now we still have one dormer that's not done, but we're already at that cap. I can see what their concern is. I don't think it's been the quality of work, even though, Dennis has pointed out some areas that, need consideration, or reconsideration, but, it was really just what we were anticipating to get for the same price, I guess. That's really, in my mind, the conversation,
And I feel there shouldn't be anything open to interpretation for a job. Like each gate that is being met for a quote and then a change request, the scope of work should be written out in there. Like that's with any company contract. We shouldn't be guessing. Like, I mean, when he said, the select board said, what they interpreted, it shouldn't be open to interpretation. It should say, this is what we're doing, have a detailed list, and then we approve that, right? It shouldn't be word of mouth. So do we have a contract, do we have statement of works on each one of these changes that write out exactly what we're paying for?
we have estimates that really talk about time and material. It's hard, and this part I will defend, it's hard to, when you're opening up an old building, it's hard to know what you're gonna open up and find. Anything, it could be anything under there from a bee's nest to a rat's nest to what we saw here, which was the previous work, I'm guessing 70s maybe, 70s or 80s, was done so poorly that, when they got in there, it changed everything as to what their original trajectory might have been. And I'm really speaking to the north dormer more than the other one, because I saw the north dormer up front. I went up on the lift, I looked at it after it was shown to me, and I was I was really shocked by the poor workmanship from, again, I guess the seventies or eighties, whenever the last time it was fixed. And if that's what we could interpret or anticipate for the next two dormers, you know, that's where we learned our lesson, is opening up the north one.
Right. So, that being said, when you find an issue, because I work a lot of different types of projects, right? So when we find an issue, that's when we're like, okay, full stop, let's document what's going on, what needs to be done. That way everyone is clear on how to tackle the issue, not just, oh, we're just gonna, keep working. Like, as a project manager, I need to know what's going on. I'm not saying I'm not the project manager here, I do that elsewhere in a manufacturing plant, but you still, there's accountability there, and you put up gates for a reason, right, on decisions that need to be made, and they go to a sponsor for approval. Here would go to either you or the select board for approval. So you need to have that information to back you up for those decisions. And I just feel like it was very unclear. So one of my questions were, with all the miscommunication, and what would you have done differently? And I'm asking more of like the roofing company, right? Because I know you have miscommunication with Steve and Steve, all around. It's like, what would you have done differently knowing what you know today on working on the roof?
Well, we did supply several reports with photos and documentation as we did go through the process. I guess one thing I would have liked to have been a part of was perhaps if we were working for the town, communicating directly with the town, so some of this miscommunication may not have happened.
I
feel like,
I talked to Justin, I asked him about that, I said, when's Wes coming back? He said, well, he'll be here tomorrow. I said, well, tell him, I gave him a phone number, said, well, tell him to call me when he gets here. And Justin said, you weren't interested in talking with me.
we prefer if we have customers, we would prefer them to call our office and not deal with scheduling with our techs. Because I would dare say that was a false statement on Justin's part. Wes 100% would have come to met with you if it was what Wes did. We do run into that often with some of our techs. We prefer, if customers have questions and concerns, by all means, reach out to the manager or our main office.
I gave him
not our-
a phone number,
not our
and
techs.
he said, Wes, call me when he gets here.
Mhm. Well, when stuff comes up, there's opportunities that he may not have been able to come that day, but if that never got communicated with Wes, then there's no way.
Well, I
Wes
was
would let you.
Just not want to be, as a service manager, I mean, that's my job, I constantly calling people and dealing, so I would have had no problem with it whatsoever, sir. And I was constantly in touch with, with Steve here and trying to portray things, so I certainly would have, if you were here, I would have called you, absolutely.
I guess our basic understanding is in the difference between what the original quote included, because we understood, we all understood, I think as a select board and as town, our committee and everything, that original quote included the north dormer and repairing broken slate. And your interpretation of it, all that included was just repairing the broken slate and not the dormer. And that's
That's not what happened anyway. They started repairing the north dormer, which is exactly how that went, and once they opened it up, they found that this was gonna take like an approximate week, so your interpretation and my interpretation are exactly the same as what happened, and then once it was, the ones that went in there is when we knew they needed longer copper flashing, they needed more slate, and, like that's what triggered the extra week and the extra materials. So I absolutely agree with your interpretation, and that's exactly what happened. We had the repairs on that dormer, we re-leaked, we had the repairs where the pipe came through at one time. Those were like specific areas that were talked about during the initial meeting.
So I have a question. From the roof systems and main quote that I have in my hand, the initial budgetary estimate scope of work, repair, missing, damaged slate, repair rubber membrane issues, inspect and repair any further problem areas. It gives the dates for it. And then it says extra, 3 valley replacements due to compromised metal, no underlayment, missing slate, minor rotting deck, causing continuous leaking. Replace the copper stack that was rotted out and leaking on the parking lot side of the building. And then it says findings, the parking lot valley took 6 days to replace, the slate shingles were cemented down, technicians were only able to save about 40% upon removal. The metal work in the valleys had a great deal of spacing, pieces cut short, no underlayment behind the metal to protect the roof boards, no soldering in the metal seals, and more Karnak, I'm assuming that's a sealer. Upon removal, the entire valley technicians cleaned down to the deck, replaced rotting deck boards, installed ice and water barrier behind the new copper, soldered the seams, installed new slate, bibs, and hooks. And these are from Wes, he's attached photos of what was done. It says work standing, all work is complete except for the 2 remaining roadside valleys. Their condition remains unknown until opened like the completed driveway side valley. Valley number 1 was the easiest to access from the lift and required 6 days of labor and materials to complete. If the town decides to move forward with the remaining 2 valleys, I am proposing 14 days labor, 7 per valley. This would incur a budgetary estimate cost of $26,500 plus or minus, subject to the unknown of each valley's condition, replacement requirements, limited accessibility, and additional lift rental time. And then it says bringing the grand total potential to $57,860. I don't have any recollection of that last statement in there. And then it says the current pricing when this report was written was $31,360, and that, in my mind, included the original scope of work and the extra that was listed. I didn't interpret it as, being $57,000 and not all the dormers being done. I don't understand the difference between $26,500 and $57,860 when at $26,500 we had done the original scope of work and we had addressed the parking lot side dormer, and what was left was the other 2 dormers. I guess I don't understand the difference between those 2 numbers. That's my question. At that point, we're at $31,360. We had completed parking lot dormer and all of the roof repairs in the original scope of work. Is it my understanding the difference between the $31,360 that we were at and the potential of $57,860, that difference was the other 2 dormers?
That would be the remaining 2 dormers.
Okay.
A proposed of another 14 working days
Mhm.
with the lift included plus materials.
And we haven't done the other 2 dormers, we've done 1 of the dormer, correct?
We did 2 of the 3.
Right. So that potential of $57,860 was a completed job, all 3 dormers. Am I understanding that
Proposed.
proposed?
Once we got on site, it obviously took longer to complete the second dormer, not leaving enough time to complete the third one.
Third dormer.
So absolutely, the proposed amount of days we thought we could complete it in ended up not being a fair estimate. Once we got into it, it took more time than we first estimated,
Mhm.
reaching that final limit without unfortunately getting to the third dormer.
So basically, the other 2 dormers were an additional $26,500 estimated, which is where we were potentially at before. And actually, when this report was prepared, our current price was $31,360. And where do we stand with you right now?
What do you-
What is our total due to you in your eyes right now?
At 57,
$860.
we stopped, we finished that dormer
Mhm.
and completely shut down as soon as we met that threshold. We wanted to make sure we actually went up $1,000 on our end, aided to ensure that everything was 100% watertight and closed on that for you guys.
And we still have one more dormer to go,
We have one dormer that's not complete.
and we're at 57,000.
Sir. And
What's-
again, go ahead.
What is your opinion of the remaining dormer? I mean, we know that it's not leaking. We stood there in the driving rain, it does not leak.
So there was communications with the technician, he said out of all the dormers there, that is the best one.
Mhm.
It is less for last, but there is, again, it poses issues because you have, large trees, things of that nature, but to get in there. And, another big pricing, I mean, we did not do any markup whatsoever on the lift. The lift was 100%, we built it at fee, and that lift was insanely expensive. 80-foot lift was, so that ate into a lot of it as well. For every, extra month or so you go on that lift was outrageously expensive. So, but that being said, I mean, that dormer definitely was in the best shape, it's not leaking. I mean, that's essentially where we're at. We finished those, we met budget and stuff for you guys.
Looking at it through our eyes, and through our eyes is just this. The select board represents every taxpayer in Sangerville. And ultimately, when we make a decision, we have to answer to those people. Those people have questions at the $57,000, why they're not all done. And I have questions for that too. My interpretation from what I was briefed through this project, that we could be touching 50 grand, but it was gonna be done, we wouldn't have to look back at it for 30, 40, or 50 years, That was our goal as a town, to be done with this roof thing and move on and not look back. And I feel like we're here at $57,000 and we're still looking back. And that's the part I'm struggling with. My interpretation of what we were getting and what we did get is two different things. And I think in conversations with people in the town of Sangerville, which I've had many, I think they all feel the same way, which puts the responsibility of getting through this on our shoulders. And that's what this is about tonight. What are your thoughts there?
Was everyone aware that we were performing the work on a time and material basis and nothing was actually bid?
Initially, no. When we put the first scope of work out, and in you guys' defense, the initial scope of work is repair missing, damaged slate, repair rubber membrane issues, inspect and repair any further problem areas. We expected those things done and an inspection report of what it may need that we couldn't see for the $18,000. And at that point, when we got that report, we were at $26,500. So the initial scope of work and the inspection and the report that went with that inspection, and the difference between $18,000 and $26,000, I certainly understand that. Even, if you go over a couple of weeks on the lift, it's that difference in money, I get that. I've been challenged on this multiple times because people feel like the numbers don't add up. What we got and what we paid don't add up. And the expectation of paying $50-something thousand, they expected a finished product. And I don't think we're there. I mean, we've got another dormer that's not been repaired. What's your interpretation, Steve? Do you interpret it the way the people interpret it, the way we interpret it?
I will say that when when we did come back, when I did come back in here and we talked about dormers 2 and 3, so dormer, at that point, north dormer was done. All the other repairs were done. Dennis did have a chance, he was up there, and he actually spoke in favor of the workmanship that was being done at that meeting as well. Yeah, and I was coming back in looking for that extra 26.5, I think it was, to complete the last 2 dormers.
Right.
I would agree with your statement that, and I think it was you that said it that night even, was that let's get this done, let's be done with this roof, so that it's not a concern anymore, and I think that's how I interpreted that as well. And I certainly understand time and material components. I did have conversations with Wes in that conversation, because I was concerned about, again, how that lift would even get back there. Like, that was a major concern for me, and you know, when he was giving us the price, I was saying, please be conservative with your access there, because you know, I felt that the 2 technicians would be working slower around those whether they crab apple trees or cherry trees out front, and then getting even back to the south side of the building even tougher than that, just because of the slopes and stuff. So I felt that it was gonna go a little longer, and that obviously man days is what matters, right? Time and material, or man days is what matters. So, but ultimately, I felt that the project was, we were walking away from the roof done. That was my interpretation of what we were gonna.
Me too. I felt like we were walking away from the roof at the $57,000 as a completed project, expecting a, 30, 40, 50-year return on our investment. And that's the big concern that we're bringing or that I'm hearing from the residents of Sangerville is willing to spend that money, but not willing to accept a job that's not complete. And that's what I'm hearing from the people. And I'm bringing that here to have that discussion with you and with Roof Systems. I mean, and it's hard because, one of the things JT pointed out is that loop in communication where there was some missing components there in the communication, I think. I'm struggling with the $57,860 price in a job that's not complete. That's where we're at as a board, I think. Do you agree with that,
Yep.
Mike? And I think that's the consensus of the people at Sangerville all feel the same way. And I think Brian felt the same way too. And I'd just like to know what we can do about it, I guess. Do we complete the job? Can we talk about the money? What are our options? I mean, as a town, we're a very responsible town. We pay our bills when they're due. I mean, like with the Masons, I mean, and we want that to apply here. I'm just bringing concerns from the people of the town of Sangerville that we understood the scope in the $50,000 range to complete the building, and we're not there.
So it sounds like nobody's questioning the workmanship.
Nope. In fact, what Dennis brought us, that was the first I'd seen of that, but I have some experience, there's a lot of people in town that have some experience with this, and I wouldn't say a negative thing about the workmanship. I mean, I think you guys did great looking work.
Is anyone questioning the time spent for the work the folks did complete?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I've heard some question about that, the efficiency of what was happening. And again, Steve brings out a really good point. When you're cocked off sideways with trees and obstacles and houses and all that, there is an added time component there.
Exactly why we portrayed it as time and materials, because there would have been no way for us to put a hard number to something with so many unknowns or so many unforeseen situations. I think that second proposal that we carried, based on the work that the first one took, obviously was inaccurate.
Mhm.
We weren't able to get both dormers done. We chewed up the time with that proposal, doing the second one.
Mhm.
100% understand, that's very unfortunate.
Mhm.
So,
But working based on time and materials, we've acquired those costs
Mhm.
that we need to be, if we got the third dormer done or not, we had hours of labor and materials that met that threshold that we gotta be compensated for.
so let's actually have a starting point then. So, because I can say the first $31,000, I really don't feel like we're questioning any of that, right? It's the original quote plus.
No, we were a little over.
Wrap up the first dormer, right?
Right.
So it's really the next, it's the estimate, the 26.5 additional estimate to do the last two dormers that's really
That's what's in question.
right now. So I just want to give us a starting point to say, all right, the 31, can we agree that there's no question about the first 31? And then start with the 26.5, and, because that's the one that we were assuming was gonna be the last two dormers in that 26.5, and we're finding that only one was able to get completed, with that time and material basis. Like, that's the only question remaining at this point, is really the last two dormers.
Right, I mean, the last dormer that was done took the same amount of money that the whole rest of the job took.
Close, yeah.
And that's what I've been brought by the people. They understood when we went to this 50, whatever it was a completed job and done, and we could forget it. And I don't think anybody feels that that's where we're at. I mean, that South Dormer, that may last 5 years, it may last 50 years, we don't know. But we're not moving forward knowing that we've solved the roof problems on this building. And I think that's number one of the big problems. And we felt like going into this, that 26.5 was gonna complete the other two dormers. And again, time and materials and the situation with the terrain. However, that number was brought after having experience with the terrain and the building and what they were finding, and that number was brought by a crew that had worked from 5:30 of 25 till 6:16 of 25 on that site. They knew what the terrain was, they knew what the building needed, they knew what the problems were. And I just feel like we were led astray there on that last 26.5 is what the scope of work was gonna be. And I think that's what I'm hearing from the people of Sangerville as well. They all feel the same way. And don't get me wrong, I think everybody in this town wants as final a solution as we can get to this roof. We don't wanna cut corners to save money on it, we want it done right. And I don't feel like that's where we're at right now, because we have a dormer that's not done. It's an unknown, and what, could go 5 years, could go 50 years, we don't know. But we don't have that warm fuzzy feeling about it.
Yeah, what rubs a little bit hard is seeing the comparison on the one dormer and then the two, and it's like, not knowing you guys and the work you do, but looking at, from the outside, you're like, are they dragging their feet on purpose? Like, to do the one dormer, like, it makes me feel a little weird, right? So like, that's why I was like, what is in writing? What are we agreeing to? And, I don't want to accuse anyone of dragging their feet, but that's just what it feels like from the community side, But,
That's unfortunate.
yeah, I know, and
David.
that is a
That's not the
feeling
case.
people, feel, that's, how I I felt when I first heard it, not understanding, you know, the whole scope of work. But I understand, like, you get into an issue and there's, you know, it will take longer. But also, if you're experienced and you've done work, you should have a good estimate on the labor and the time that it would take you, as using one as an example, you know, to kind of give us a rough idea. But I mean, that, I'm just letting you know, that's how, you know, a lot of people feel, like, you know, they just did this one dormer and they took all their time doing it, because they knew they weren't gonna get to the other one.
I haven't fielded one complaint on the quality of work or the way it looked or any of that. I don't think there's anybody really debating that. Every single person has had the same thing to say. You know, basically, you guys was here for a week, you had dug into the building, you knew where you were at, and we were presented with this and decided to move forward with an expectation of completing the building. And we're at this money short one dormer, and that's how that's the consensus that I hear from everybody I talk to. And it's my job to bring that to you and to Steve and to, you know, to have this conversation right here. And again, we want to, you know, we want to be responsible, we want to pay what's due, we want to pay our bills. And we feel like that last 26.5 should have done both dormers based on the fact that you guys had been on the roof for a week and you knew what was there. And then that was the estimate that was presented to us to do the other two dormers. And that's what we felt like we should get for the money that was presented. And I too run a business and I understand materials and labor and all of that. And, you know, all those things were present when you wrote this quote. You know, the terrain is still the same, the building is still the same. And I think based on what we see, the north side dormer had a lot more damage than the south side because the south side's not leaking. So I expected to see those go a little better than the north side, because, you know, standing up in the attic, you could watch the water run right through the roof on the north side and none on the south side. And I expected that side to go a lot better. And instead, it cost the same to do all the scope work as it did to do just one dormer on the front. And I think that's where the confusion comes in. It wasn't a contract, it wasn't a bid, and that's unfortunate. And what's really unfortunate is you guys do incredible quality work, and people perceive it, they can see that. You know, it's good work. They don't perceive the value for what we're paying on the other end. So where do we go from here?
Well, I'm hoping we can come away with this today so that they are getting paid for work, at least an amount or settlement even, but like, I think we haven't paid anything at this point, if
That's
I'm
right.
correct, and that's why I was asking if it's agreed that at least the 31 is good, then that's a number to start, and then if we're saying that of the 26,500, that was supposed to accomplish 2 dormers, and there's at least 1 dormer done, then at least half of that should be paid as well. Like that's what, I know that doesn't complete either side, right? It doesn't complete you guys on the roof side, it doesn't complete them on the financial side, but at least it's a place to be able to start the conversation. I don't want, that they can't walk away with nothing. They did do work, that's, I guess what I'm saying.
Oh, and we do not expect that at all. And we came prepared to get through this. As you just said, Steve, I felt when we were at the 31,360, I felt we were a little over, because I expected the 26.5 originally is where I expected to be. But I also understood where we were at too, what, some of the things they found and whatnot. And I don't think there's any debate over that part of it, you, Dennis?
The 31,000?
Right.
No problem with that.
Right. The big question comes around, we were 31,000 to do the scope of work, and that included rebuilding the North Normal. And I think we're all comfortable with that number. The number we're not comfortable is the 26.5, which we anticipated to do both dormers, and we got one dormer done. That's where that was the holdup in this whole program is you got into more than you thought you would, and we got into more than we expected money-wise. And I felt like this letter was kind of concrete, and it's not. Because I expected the scope of work, a complete roof, 4 dormers, and $57,000, which was way more than we anticipated, but we were prepared for it. We had talks about it and whatnot. Has anybody else got any ideas, comments, conversation?
I think that we need to come to some type of consensus so that this can be settled.
I do too. I'd like to see these guys leave here tonight with a paycheck.
Yeah.
And we're prepared to do that too, just so you know.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, would you guys be open to splitting that 26.5 like Steve just suggested, because we only got one of the 2 dormers done?
That knocks off 13,250.
Do it at the 13,250 to the 31,360.
Your feelings, Dennis?
Probably is as good compromise as we could get.
And I understand, I mean, you got payroll to make, you got a lift to pay for, you got expenses.
It's a acquired cost that we
Right.
track very, very closely based on GPS, and
Mhm.
So you'd be looking at what, 44,610? Is that what the figure is? That's what I figured.
yeah, 44,610.
And who completes the last dormer, like when does that happen, how does that?
Say that again?
When does the last dormer get done, like there's no real resolution for the town?
At this point, I feel like they've completed the scope of work and we owe them money, and I feel like we need to get to that point tonight. Are you interested in doing the other dormer once we get through this?
Yes. I will say it's probably going to require time and material costs that will
Right.
exceed $13,250,
That's right.
based on 2 dormers now being complete, one in the difficult section, that we could hopefully give a much better estimate for, budgetary estimate. But yeah, we would entertain certainly doing the work.
I think access wise, this one would be the most difficult.
It would
It
be.
is gonna be the most time consuming, just because
Working off of planks and stuff.
there are trees directly there, and as Steve was saying when we talked about it, I don't know exactly if the lift is gonna be the answer. It might get you there, but I think you're gonna have to work off planks and do different things, because it's not gonna navigate.
Mhm.
The north side was the easiest as far as navigation.
Right.
Side, we, again, working off planks, took twice as long as what we had hoped. And that's where we're at, so.
Do you think that removing, there's one of those trees is on our side of the line and one isn't, correct?
Right, so, we have and this is obviously speculative, but if you guys receive the grant,
Mm-hmm.
my assumption is gonna be doing, of course, you guys will be doing the site work and all that stuff.
Excavation
So those
work.
trees will be coming down anyway.
Correct, that's where I was going with that.
Right, but that also means that the site contractor needs to do his work first.
Correct.
Prior to these guys doing their work, and I'm not really sure how that time frame might work out for them. Cause again, you don't want them up there in November doing the work, you know, you really want them in the same time frame they did this work, and I'm sure unfortunately, that's probably every client they have says, yeah, do it in the summer, right? But I just don't want, you wouldn't want the two contractors can't work over
Right.
each other, that's just not a possibility, so.
Well, we
it's-
could revisit it during phase two, it's not a critical need right now, right? Because their need
I
is.
would, yeah, I would say that as well.
I just wanted to clarify, they had started the work, and the work that they've done is good, and should we decide to do the other dormer, were they willing to do it?
Yep.
So the work is all the same. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to get to where we are right now. I just wanted clarity that they were or were not interested in continuing on the building, and I think we got that clarity, right?
Yeah.
And it'll be time and materials on the remaining dormer.
So
Lessons learned.
as just mentioned, yeah, you know, again, if all goes well in 2026 represents the foundations and the site work, then you're really looking at 2027 finishing that dormer, which would also, or even 2028, but that would also mean if you were working with a lift, that would be the opportunity to do any other fascia, cornice, all that stuff work on that side of the building during that time frame as well.
So what was the number, Mike, that came up with?
44,610.
610. So do we have any further discussion on this? Anybody else got anything to put into the conversation before we make a decision? Go ahead.
So, I haven't followed any of this, so I can't speak to any of the, whatever happened. I will say that I use Roof Systems and Main at work, I'm in charge of the county buildings, I've dealt with West before. Obviously, they do good work, but where I'm headed with this is I have 4 buildings that have slate. And honestly, if they told me that I could have the courthouse slate roof repaired, replaced, or whatever for 60 grand, I'd be very surprised. So I'm kind of surprised by that number for that whole building. But that's just my take on it.
It wasn't the whole building.
There's some repairs and some valley work.
Yeah. It was,
Right.
square foot wise, it was
But I think
less than
the
probably
slate.
10% of the
Oh,
building.
okay.
Any other commentary? So I think, I'd like to make a motion that we offer $44,610 to Roof Systems of Maine to satisfy the scope of work completed to date.
Second.
No other discussion? Okay, it's a vote. So with that said, we'd like to present an offer of $44,610 to satisfy the scope of work to date. If you're willing to accept that, we'll pay you tonight.
We will accept that.
Okay, so have it noted that an offer was made and accepted.
Thank you.
Thanks for understanding the people's side of
Yeah,
things.
it's a tough situation.
It was unfortunate. I think in this thing, I think there's a little miscommunication there, and that is unfortunate.
I do want to make clear for the record, every communication between Wes and myself,
Mhm.
or even JT and myself, was put through Brian. No, Brian's communication with the board is excellent as well, so
Mhm.
there was no,
I felt like there was no gray area. I didn't feel in the dark through this, and I was just, I brought my concerns with everybody else's.
I've sat in front of this board now like 8 or 9 times, so it's hot seat a few times. 26 fine was a hot seat, I'll tell you that. That was a rock and roll night.
Yeah. It's a real specialized trade that you guys have, and it's not like anybody can come through the door and do it.
Now it's less and less all the time, especially in Slater.
Well, the bigger problem is the ones that think they can do it.
Right.
Leave you with dormers.
We had some examples of
Yes,
that.
yeah, you did, because that was when I went up on the lift after you had sent over that package there, oh crap.
Mm.
The boards are sponges,
Yeah, he sent some pretty detailed photos.
yeah.
Well, on behalf of the town of Sangerville and the board and everybody on our committees, we thank you for coming and getting through this. Appreciate your understanding.
Thank you. I do have one more comment before I leave.
Feel free.
On behalf of Wentworth Partners, we are wishing Brian and Liz a speedy recovery and the best at that time, so. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I'm sure he'll be listening to this meeting at some point.
You know, I hope he's not. I hope he's just getting better.
Yeah. We all know Brian, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Very good.
Yeah, I need to run back to Brian, that's why I told Michelle, I had her, but yes. As soon as I get the okay, I can.
Okay, moving on. Item B is Tom Bacchino. Tom would like to speak to the board about the plowing of his road.
Again.
Okay, back in March of '25, I wrote a letter to the Board of Selectmen about taking consideration of winter maintenance of all of the Rockaway Mills Road, and I submitted that. And Brian and Matt, basically Brian, looked on it with me, helped me, came up and looked at it, and the conclusion was that Brian couldn't find anywhere where the Brockway Mills Road was discontinued. He says, you can't find it. So, at that point, I'm saying, well, then it's still a town road, because it kind of like ends, and because I live on the very far end of that. So I requested that the town maintain that for winter use only, sanding and plowing. The rest of it I take care of. So, I've measured it 1 million different times. They come up with a length, and it's 984 feet from where they stop to where the Kittredge Road starts. And thereabouts, more or less. So, that's my request for 984 feet extension to plow that road. And the reason why I asked that is that I'm getting up in age, or 80 years old, and I just don't know how much longer I can do this. It's still have my family, my wife and I safe in the wintertime, because I don't leave, I stay. So that's my request. I don't know what that entails in money or anything like that, more. The proposal that was bid on was from Brockway Mills Road to the Kittredge Hill Road.
You're talking the bid to the plow
Yeah, the
contractor.
plow bit, yeah, the plow bit.
Mhm.
From Sylvan Road to the Kitchener Road. And there's a little bit of discrepancy there because since I've lived there, that road has gone from Brockway Mills Road to the McNaughton Hill Road to, back to the Kitchener Road.
Mhm.
And how it got to be Kitchener Road is that when 911 came into play, I went to the town and talked to the town manager, and he agreed with me that to separate my end of the road from the McNaughton end of the road,
Mhm.
they changed that to Kitchener Road now. So if I called up and said, 9 Kitchener Road, they're gonna come up Brockway Mills Road and come to my house. Not go the other way around, because by then, they'll never get up the hill. So that was my concern, and they agreed, and the town put up a sign for Kitchener Road.
Mhm.
And that's where we're at now.
So the Kittredge Hill Road sign is when you drive all the way to the end of Brockway Mills and
Yep.
take a left to go
Yep.
to your place, and there's a gate right there on the right,
There's no gate, I don't know where on the right-hand side,
on the right-hand side,
no, it's not a gate, it's just a,
chain or something.
yeah, it's a cable with
Yeah.
a pipe on it.
Right.
And I take that down in the winter, because I don't want snowmobiles hitting this thing and all that, you know.
Mhm.
And I really don't have a problem with people going down there, because the road doesn't go nowhere. It
Mhm.
goes to a swamp, and the other way it goes to another piece of private land.
Mhm.
And I've never had a problem with anybody going down there. None. So that's my request.
Okay.
Has the town ever plowed that piece you're talking, that 984 feet?
No,
No.
not since I've lived there. And I want to guess, not at all. Because the guy who would know that just passed away, Irvin.
Mhm.
And,
How long have you been there?
huh?
How long have you been there?
23 years.
23 years.
I haven't been out to look at it, I know the road narrows some, Brockway Mills, when you get to that last house on the right, I know the road crowds in and narrows some.
Yeah.
Is that so that a big plow truck can go down in there?
Well, Warren would do it for me
Mhm.
with his plow truck. And I think we're all the same size, I believe.
Mhm.
And he would do it for me.
And there's adequate turnaround for a truck that size?
Yeah, he would, what Warren would do, he would plow forward, he'd make the corner, and he'd go past my driveway,
Yeah.
and then turn around in my dooryard, between my gates of my dooryard, and then plow back out again. And I'm not requesting that,
Mhm.
because I wanna keep the Brockway Mills Road separate from the Kittredge Road, which now is probably a mile long.
Mhm.
So the people on the other end can't say, well, they're doing that, what about this? So I kept it separate on purpose,
Mhm.
on purpose.
So Warren was turning around at your house, do you think that a plow truck with a wing can turn around at the end of Brockway Mills Road?
Yeah, because that's what he had, that was the truck that he had a wing on it as well.
Yeah.
And the road widens right up after you make the corner.
Mhm.
There's ample room to turn the truck around.
And as far as the sides of the road, are the stumps and rocks and things that would, did Warren lay the wing down when he plowed it? He did.
Yeah, he would open it up for me.
So he was able to do it with the wing down.
He might have bounced off a couple telephone poles, but that's,
It's better than a mailbox.
yeah, I had that happen too.
Oh.
Did Warren do this,
So anyway, that's my request.
did Warren do that every storm or just so often?
I would like it for every storm,
No.
but,
Did,
I don't know how you separate that.
No.
You do it or you don't, and if it,
Did you pay Warren to do it?
yep,
You paid him, and how often did he do it?
well, that depends. It's hard to get a good figure with him. I'd have one number, he'd have another number, and I always took the highest number, I just paid him. I wasn't gonna argue with him, I mean, he's honest as they come. So I would just pay them. And that was, $50, I think it was 35, then he charged me 50.
But that wasn't every storm, that was just so often?
Just to kick it back, yeah.
Every storm?
No, but I guess the thing is, and until Longman goes up there and looks at this, or the whoever does the farm.
Right.
And takes a look at it, and see what's the best course of action for them to do all this, you know?
Right, there's some obvious questions we're gonna have to ask and some legwork we'd have to do to, you know, to get to the point where you could even look at a decision on this. First question is, Orman is contracted with the town for a scope of work, which currently, I wanna have a better understanding of the contract, cause it's very vague. As I understand it, just says Kittredge Hill Road. I mean, Brockway Mills Road.
And it's always been Brockway Mills Road, there was a discrepancy there where one ended and one started.
Right,
It's always been Brockway Mills Road, the people that own either side of that, their deed says Brockway Mills Road.
mhm.
So basically, it's straightforward until you hit the Kittredge Hill Road.
And that's what you're asking for, is to the end of Brockway Mills Road.
Yeah.
Okay,
984 feet.
984 feet. I'm gonna make a motion that we table this till further investigation on our end of things.
Second.
One more thing I forgot, is that Ryan apologized to me. He worked with me on this, and his words, when you can ask him, is that he forgot to put that in the bid.
Mhm,
And he apologized to me for that happening.
mhm,
So it should have gone in on the bid, when
mhm,
the bid went out, and it did.
Mhm.
And he felt bad about that, and he said, well, we're gonna try to make this right for you. So I said, well, okay, I'll do this part, I'll do the request, and
okay.
so we'll go.
So again, there's a motion on the table to table this until we do our homework on it. We have a second. So we voted to just, we're gonna table it so that we have time to do our homework on it.
Sure.
Why don't we leave it like this? We're gonna try in Brian's absence to get through what we can. We're a little bit short-handed in the office with Brian being gone, so I can't promise you next meeting's we'll have any type of an answer, just not knowing what our workload's gonna look like while he's absent, or how long he's gonna be absent. That being said, we'll do our best to get back to you as quick as we can.
Well, I've waited 23 years, so
Yeah. Very patient man.
yes, I am.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Michael and Mary Hart tax acquired property.
Okay, so with Mike's help, we tracked down,
You were on it.
a phone number for these people.
You told me.
I called the town office, they tried to connect me with people, they transferred me 2 or 3 times. I finally got a hold of Mary, and she said that she felt really bad because she was just kind of ignoring the
She's
phone.
in Florida, so.
Yeah. And she was kind of ignoring the phone calls. So, after talking to her, she said, well, you know, we've had it for 42 years, don't even know where the property is. I guess maybe I really should keep the property, and we'll try to sell it, because I'm selling off his property. It seems to me that he had like dementia maybe.
Mhm.
So if the town will sell it back to her, she will pay whatever's owed, and I have the deeds ready, and then we could just deed it back.
Okay.
The last one I still don't have any connection with, that I've tried to find, is that Mike Whittick, or David Whittick. That's the one that's out on, near the golf course.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and Kimmel's, we have already got the check for them, we just needed a deed, so I have that too.
Okay.
So she paid all the back?
Kimball's did, and Mary will as soon as I call her tomorrow morning, depending on your decision.
Again, just like before, we're not in the real estate business, and if she's willing to pay what she owes us, I feel like.
That'd be good.
So let's make a motion and a vote. Make a motion that we accept payment for Michael and Mary Hart's back due and sign a deeding the property back to them.
Second.
Vote.
Here are the two deeds.
I don't think she's even been to that property.
No, she said she hadn't done that.
Okay, and then the next item was the quitclaim deed for Carl Kimmel and Ann Fontaine.
Right,
That
and
was-
that's the
that
one
was
you
whatever
just,
one
yeah.
okay. Okay, so to be clear, we signed quitclaim deeds back to Carl Kimmel and Ann Fontaine and Michael and Mary Hart for payment in full, what's owed the town. Okay, moving on, item 6 is new business. American Red Cross. That's you.
Sort of. So, I'm Amanda Stewart. I'm here with the Piscataquis Area Community Center. I am an American Red Cross instructor, but my passion is absolutely the community center. I don't know, I assume most of the people in this room already know. We closed down about a year and a half ago. We were shut down. A group of us took the building back over, and I've been working night and day for the last year to get everything back up and running. My reason for wanting to speak here is just kind of give everybody an update. I've been reaching out to all the surrounding towns. I've been trying to get to a meeting here. I've been back and forth with Brian for about 7 months now.
Yeah.
So it's been chaos. We got everything back up and running last year. February 10th, we reopened to the public after gaining access to the building on February 1st. We were able to open the studio, the basketball court, and our fitness center. Since then, we have opened up each of the locker rooms, brought the children's room back, opened up a small teen room, our studio's up and running. We got a grant from Bangor Savings, changed one of our kind of really super outdated racquetball courts into a plyometrics gym. We've added a powerlifting gym in another space. In August, we started sandblasting the swimming pool. After working on it for months and months and months and thinking we were ready to paint, we learned from an engineer that we were not. So we got a $30,000 quote, which was not feasible. So I learned how to sandblast. And after 6 weeks of that, I decided that was a horrible idea, but I had done it. And it took me 5 weeks to clean up the mess I had made. So 11 weeks in, we had a clean pool surface. We were ready for paint. And we finally finished painting it a couple weeks ago. It is full of water. And on Friday last week, we actually had our very first aquablast class in the pool. So I keep getting the question like, when's that been swim? So I'm the only lifeguard right now. I came to this meeting with wet hair because I've been doing lifeguard training all day today. So this week we'll have 4 more lifeguards by the end of this week. The pool will be open. Starting next week we'll have some open swims as well as our aquablast classes. Our swim team has partnered up with the Bangor YMCA, not the YMCA that shut us down. So we're going to be a satellite branch for their swim team, and we'll be the Bangor Barracudas right in Dover Foxcroft. So they'll have to practice in Bangor only on Fridays. Since the shutdown, I've been traveling to Bangor 3 to 5 days a week to bring my kids and other kids to the swim team, which has been awesome, considering I have a hole in my building, which should have been filled with water, right? So, pretty exciting, really big stuff for this area. I did send a warrant into the town, which is one of the reasons I wanted to talk with you guys, and I'm asking for $4,000 in annual support. It's based on 25 cents per capita per month ask. Asking all the surrounding towns to kind of help us out. Dover Foxcroft obviously helps us significantly. We get a $60,000 a year in monthly payments from them. We run, Foxcroft Youth Sports kind of handles the 5th grade and up, so we really handle that like under 5th grade thing for them as part of our services that we do there. We try really hard to bring in lots of community events for free, including all of our surrounding towns. And I think a really important thing for everyone to understand, we're not the YMCA anymore. We are for the community, and I am unbelievably passionate about it. If anyone's talked to me outside of that building for more than 10 seconds, that's what they have to listen to me talk about. So I apologize for that in advance, but this poor guy listens to me every other week. Yeah, I'm really passionate about what we're doing. We just had our first free community craft day yesterday. Miss Minnie McCormick, I don't know if you know her, she's 88 years old. She's incredible, and she's there every single day. And she wants to bring more people into the building and help them understand that it's not just a place for athletes, it's not just a place for swimmers, it's not just a place for sports and fitness, it's for the community. And that's what I'm really passionate about, is bringing those things to the community. As soon as we got the pool open, I reached out to all the local schools. We've hosted 2nd grade swim for the last 3 years that I was running the aquatics program there, and I'd really like to try and get all of our schools before the end of the school year in there, which is absolute chaos for me, but I think it's so important. As we all know, we live in an area that is surrounded by lakes and water, and swim lessons are critical. We are the only pool in Piscataquis County, and we're the only pool within an hour drive. So being able to do that in the summertime is imperative. Through partnerships with the Masons and the Dexter Development Association, we were able to give free swim lessons in the town of Heartland to the public pool there, at the Dexter Public Beach, and at the Dover Foxcroft Public Beach this summer. It was a lot, but we did it. So I really just kind of wanted to share with the board. I'm happy to come to a budget meeting. I don't know how your town operates as far as like doing the warrants. I came to town meeting last year. We kind of just got back open, so I sat and kind of watched and saw how your process worked. Just hadn't made it to any of your town meetings yet. So I wanted to come and yap about my passion for a minute, and I think it's really important for the town of Sangerville. I was 12 minutes from work to here today. We're really close, and getting the rec department involved and bringing kids over there and getting adults, especially seniors that need that community engagement, whether it's the pool or playing cribbage or just coming to free family events that don't cost anything. You don't have to have a membership. Like, please come in. The money is where I don't ever want the money to be a barrier. And so being able to get support from the towns and from the communities and from donors and the county is critical. I do not care if they are restricted donations or if they are open donations. We get both from people all the time. That is something very different in a model than what the YMCA did. YMCA was general donations, so you didn't get any say in where your money went. I don't think that's fair. I have people that are very passionate about the swimming program and they donate to the swimming program. I have people that are very passionate about the fitness center and they want their money to go to that. That's what they use and that's what they do. So far we haven't really had any general donations, anything other than general donations from towns, but I do want to make it very clear that if there's something that money is supposed to be for, we are absolutely open to doing that and very, very good at reporting on it. I think that's all. Any questions?
So this Piscataquis Area Community Center, is it a standalone or is it affiliated with other?
So it is just us. We were the YMCA for 40 years. We opened in 1987. Last year, I had been branch director there for about 6 months. 2 years prior, we had merged with the Old Town Orono YMCA. So then you've got, one CEO, one CFO, like really kind of getting rid of some of those costs for our little teeny tiny place. They walked in on a Friday afternoon. I had 46 second graders from Guilford on a bus in bathing suits when they announced to me that they were closing and draining the pool immediately. I had to call the principal, Anita, and say, I can't take your kids today. And so I cried on the phone with her while they posted on Facebook that they were closing and my staff hadn't even been informed, so it was pretty traumatic. I was super fortunate to have Jason Brochu step in very quickly, help me with attorney fees and getting those things set up and building an advisory committee and, you know, cease and asists, and it was a process. And I'm a little emotional, like, it's been a very, very personal project for me. So, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, I'm just rambling.
So you guys are standalone now, you're not affiliated with?
Yes, no, so our only, sorry, thank you,
You're
yes.
not affiliated with YMCA?
Our only affiliation is with the Bangor Region YMCA,
For the swim.
and we're a satellite branch for their swim.
Swim.
Yep, we have no contracts, we have nothing. They hire the coach, but they hired our coach, because she's phenomenal. And we wear orange and teal when we go to swim meets. So other than that, it's just us and our communities.
Neat.
Sometimes. Our power bill was $4,000 this month, and we didn't use any more electricity than last month, and it was $3,000 last month, so. Like the cost of everything are just,
Right.
it's insane, and so we're trying really hard to keep membership costs down, and
So your ask from the town is $4,000 annually, that's what you're looking for?
that is the ask, yep,
As a, basically a sponsorship to you.
yep. And I did send in a formal warrant, so you'll have a letter wherever you keep your pile of those. And like I said, happy to come in and talk to the budget committee if that's how you do your operations.
Okay. Well, it's neat to talk to you.
It is neat,
I'm
right?
glad you learned how to sandblast.
I am not. But I did, so.
My buddy Lance could have helped you out.
So we had a lot of people try,
Yeah?
and it was not, so we just did it. It was me and one other person, and he would do it for 6 hours a day, and then we went home. I would do it for 6 hours a night, and
Yeah.
in 6 weeks, we nailed it, so.
Yeah. Well, very good. Thank you.
Very much.
So we will see that in the writing of the warrants. Or will we see it through budget committee?
Well, but you have a policy concerning giving money to organizations.
Mhm.
So I don't know how you want to approach that.
So first, we'll need to just look at that policy and see what, and decipher what it says.
Yep, so I'll pull that policy out.
And then you'll just forward it to us so we can read it.
Yep,
You're a non-profit also, right?
Yep, we're a nonprofit 501c3, we got our status in July. And whether that looks like a sponsorship or that is you need, I don't know, so like the town of Heartland, like they wanted to give us, but they wanted theirs specifically to go towards their Heartland swim lessons this summer.
Mhm.
So that's what we did, we didn't charge any of their residents for their swim lessons this summer.
So,
Yes.
just for transparency
Absolutely.
purposes, because I believe in that,
Yes, please.
and I don't know if they're aware, but you've got money from the county too.
Yes, $20,000.
Whereas the towns all contribute to the county, which
Correct.
is on here, so I just want to let everybody know that.
That's clear, yeah.
No, thank you. And that is part of our mission statement, is one of our flood transparency.
Ours too.
No, it's important. We all live in these little teeny tiny communities, and when a couple bucks go missing, it's a big deal.
Okay.
so, and then, so yes, you would need to look at the policy.
Right.
And then I would think it would go through the budget meetings.
Right.
And then we go to the warrant with you guys.
Right.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Item B, we have a dangerous tree on the corner of Dowdy Hill and East Sangerville Road.
Yeah, so I know this tree has been an issue. Brian has talked to Orman about the tree, Butch about the tree. Well, during one of our storms recently, Butch was headed to the office and picked up parts of the tree that was in the road. So he came in concerned, and what can we do about this tree? So I said I'd put it on the agenda.
So the tree belongs to Toby, or is
I
that
think
lease
it's-
land for Toby?
It's right on the corner there of his potato field or cornfield, I'm not sure what he plants there. And Mr. and Mrs. Jordan's house was right across the street,
Right.
it's right there.
Yep.
I don't know if it's, I'm assuming it's in there right away.
It might fall within the right of way of the road.
Mhm.
I think that's a 4-rod road.
Because I would think it would, because it's right there beside the road.
Yeah, we had talked about it in the road committee meeting. You know, like I said, Brian got sick and went out, but I think at one point he was looking at, getting an estimate on it, but like I said, I don't know how it falls, because, you know, Dowdy Hill is a state road, so I don't know how that falls into the right of way.
Mhm.
So I don't
I
know.
wonder, do we have communication with the state just to see what their take is on it?
I haven't heard Brian, but he does a lot of emails. I can certainly reach out to DOT in Bangor and find out what we can do about it.
I think we should at least reach out,
Okay.
have that conversation with them, and maybe even at some point have a conversation with Toby where it's his field, so that everybody's on the same page.
Okay. Do we want to have a road committee meeting and have Toby come to it?
I
Okay.
think that would be,
Do you guys meet once a month still, or you're not doing that?
I'm sorry?
You still meeting once a month?
Yeah. Well, we were, until, you know, Brian got sick, but, I mean, we could set a meeting, you know, whatever you guys decide you want us to do. That'd probably be a good thing to set up a meeting. You say have Toby come to it?
yeah, I would definitely invite the budding landowner.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's just a typical old maple tree.
Right, I got a whole bunch of them right on that same road
Yeah.
that we need to
Well,
talk about sometime.
Luckily though, the mother ones though, if they fall, they're gonna go into their cornfield.
Yeah,
So.
I'm aware.
Huh?
I'm aware.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess the only question that we had was, I think, like I said, I think it's a 4-rod road, so I don't know if that, you know, it's like right on the corner.
Hmm.
I don't know if it restricts, off plowing or not, I don't know if the foreman has said anything about it and not plowing or not, but,
Hmm.
so I don't know who's,
So if the tree's dead, we need to investigate it.
yeah.
We've had some bad tree incidents in Sangerville before,
Certainly.
You know, and,
on that road.
yeah, but we just, you know, and we wanted to be careful too, is not getting into the habit of taking down trees all over the place. Because you take one down here and somebody expects them taken down over there.
Dowdy Hill's full of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's
Yeah, there's one
8 or
on-
9 of them on my property,
Yeah.
right up the road from
And
there.
there's a big old pine tree down the cemetery road on
Hmm.
not Silver's Mills, but,
French's Mills.
yeah.
Yeah, if you get a balanced budget with public safety, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
if it's dropping pieces in the road, we need to talk about it.
I mean, maybe the state would take care of it, I don't know.
It's possible.
I think that's where that conversation comes in,
But, yeah.
to see what they're
If it was
taking.
my way, they'd all be gone. I've covered 3 fatal accidents involving just that right there.
I mean, it is a little bit of a blind area when you stop at the stop sign from East Sangerville Road. You kind of have to like creep out,
Mm-hmm,
but, and the corn doesn't help either, but.
right.
The state did clear the brush on the other side,
Right,
on the right-hand side.
and that's a lot better.
Yes, that's 100% better.
Okay. Item C, appoint the fire chief.
Okay, so I understand that the firemen vote for their officers, then the appointments usually go to Brian, Brian appoints.
Right.
Well, with Brian being absent, you have on your table the appointment for Matt. It's right by your envelope with the green. Yep. So if you approve of him being the fire chief, if you would like to appoint him, then I can have him do his oath.
Okay. And he doesn't have, he just does the oath in front of you in the
Yeah.
office.
Either Kelsey or I, either one of us.
I guess I would make a motion that we follow the fire department's ranks with appointing Matt Blockler as fire chief.
Second,
Vote,
you met.
it's a vote.
You met.
Okay, moving on, lease agreement for town office space.
So Lee Morgan brought in the lease almost 2 weeks ago. Brian was absent and then he took sick. So no one has reviewed the lease. Lee was kind of waiting to go over it with Brian. Brian being out of the office, the new lease agreement, I think I sent it to both of you.
I got it, I was impressed just how thorough
Yes.
that
very.
was.
Yeah. So I had Lee change the last page to reflect that the board is gonna approve the lease.
Mhm.
If not, we'll have to find another place to be.
What was the increase on it?
Yeah, so that was,
It wasn't that much, what was it, $100? It was 3% of whatever it was last year, so.
and how long is that lease agreement for?
A year, and it starts in March, so it starts when, I guess that's when they move the office. So it goes from March to March. Which also falls in line with our town meeting.
Mhm. Okay. I'd make a motion that we sign a lease for an additional year of our space.
Second.
You didn't catch that.
What's that?
$100 is pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable, actually.
So it seems that on your agenda, I got really focused on making sure that you appointed Matt, because E is the same as C.
I noticed that when I sat down here.
Whoops.
Just wanna make sure he stays.
So item E is already discussed. Okay, item F, summer mowing.
So I'm not sure, I'm trying to be very prepared, and if we need to put an ad out for mowing for the summer, Orman's was only for 1 year, which was last summer.
Mhm.
And he did both cemeteries and the other town lots that needs to be mowed.
So this mowing is for cemeteries, it's not for the roadside mowing, this is.
No, this is
In
strictly,
town and
right, in
cemeteries.
town, and regular weekly mowing. We still have roadside mowing, this will be the last year for Mr. Lambert. And then we'll have to put that out to bid again. So I didn't know, I know that Eastern Gazette is no longer a newspaper, so we'd have to either do the Observer or Bangor Daily.
Mhm.
And just wanted your thoughts on what would you like me to go forward with? Should we deal with this now, or do you wanna put it off?
Well, we'll need it for March's meeting, won't we?
I would think, yeah.
I say we do it.
So,
I
just
see.
sorry, I don't know if you're, my husband has a mowing company. The Rolling Thunder is where we look for most of our stuff too, and it's fairly inexpensive compared to
Okay.
a lot of the others.
I didn't think they were still in business.
Oh yeah, no, we get the Rolling Thunder for free every day,
Okay.
every Monday.
So they drop, Rolling Thunder drop coverage of our area in the mailbox.
Yeah.
They drop Guilford, Abbott,
Yeah, it's too bad.
That's why.
and that's why,
Okay.
I still get it, I live in St. Albans, sorry.
No, thank
I'm
you
not
for letting me
bragging.
know.
So you're thinking probably Bangor Daily or Observer or both?
I would think at least the Observer, because you're
We're-
gonna want your local guys more than,
And we're required to post it at least once in the paper, right?
yeah, and it will hit the website and Facebook. We can post it, you know, in the post office or at the town office.
Just like we normally post
Mhm.
everything. Okay. I'd make a motion that we make an ad and post for our summer mowing contract, and before, let me just table that for a second. Do we want a 1 year or a multi-year contract? We need to determine that.
Well, and that's what I wasn't sure. I know that we have gone to 3-year contracts on some of the stuff that we've done. So I wasn't sure. It'd be easier for budgeting if we knew ahead of time.
Mhm.
But it's totally,
But then if you have someone that doesn't do well at all, you get them for 3 years.
exactly.
So it's,
I'd be more in
So it's
favor of the
awesome.
year-to-year contract on that particular item. I don't know what you might.
Yeah,
Okay, so the motion is to move forward with
1 year.
with putting out an ad for a 1-year contract.
Okay,
Second.
Okay, that's what we're doing.
thank you.
Okay, item G, budget information.
I just kind of need some direction as to, do we need to have some of these committees get together and form their budgets now? So that we can be prepared, so that hopefully the 1st of February, we can actually start scheduling budget meetings, is what I would like to see.
I agree with you.
The financial paperwork that you have sitting in front of you, I worked till about 8 o'clock last night. Those are all up to date except for the income part. I'm still working on the income piece. But all the expenses are done.
Okay. So you're gonna have the conversation with the chair of each committee that we're gonna be looking for budget numbers?
Yep, I'll reach out with them and have them get their meetings together and pull their budgets together so we can start doing meetings in February.
Okay, item H is sign the county commissioner's warrant.
Yes, so that is on top of your green envelope. Ours went up $11,000? Yeah. Okay. This year compared to last.
in your packet stuff, you have a copy of it all.
Right. The actual budget, she copied everything for you. I have quite a few things that have come in already for our budget, so that I'll be ready to give you, I don't know if you want those estimates early before we start budget meetings, so you can look them over. But we can pull that together for you too.
When did Adam become a commissioner?
He replaced Wayne Kirkin, November, December, something like that, I think beginning of December.
He'd finished his term?
No, he resigned.
So was he voted in there, or he just working the term,
He
finishing the term?
voted in for the rest of Wayne's term, which I think ends at the end of this year, I believe, and then he has to run again if he wants to.
So the amount of the county commissioner's warrant is $222,135. Sign your rules piece. How much of an increase is that, Michelle? Do you know?
11,000,
11,000?
yep, right around 11,000.
So, in moving on, Matt had a report, did he leave it with either one of you? Or do
You've
I-
got a copy of it.
It's in your packet.
You also, this afternoon, I got, not this afternoon, yesterday, I got a Mid-Maine Solid Waste contract, which is, yep, next one up. I don't know when the last time it was that we had a solid waste contract. But I had Tampa, send it to me. That has increased about $10,000, I believe, compared to last year.
And this is a contract for our next year.
Our solid waste, yep.
So,
And I didn't know, if you want to just have the contract, read it over, and at the next meeting, sign it.
that's what I think.
I think that would give you, and then
So
if there are any
you said
questions.
it's $10,000 increase?
Increase.
Yeah. We had this conversation last year on the solid waste,
Mhm.
and we were comparing costs between Dover and Dexter.
Right,
I don't think we should sign the contract until we've probably revisited that.
investigate the options, okay?
Right. I'm not comfortable going there until we've looked at our options, I guess.
Okay, so we will bring that back to the next meeting.
Okay. Okay, did you say Matt had a report?
You should have it in your packet, it should be in your pile of papers.
Okay, so I'm gonna move on. We'll put an additional item in here, fire chief's report, and I'll just read the report. Fire chief's report, EMS project. Previously, Brian, and this is, I'm speaking as Matt at the moment. Previously, Brian and I met with the Eastern Maine Community College's head of EMS program to discuss getting an EMT class in our immediate area in order to license Sangerville firefighters and be able to respond as a non-transporting service and provide care until the nearest ambulance arrives. Since then, I have done some homework about locations as requested by EMCC, and I'm waiting for a date to meet with them again. Tentatively, it looks like a fall timeframe to do something. Along with this, I have a meeting scheduled with the Maine EMS to work on the logistics of getting the station licensed as a service, which is a step that will need to be taken to move forward with the plans. This meeting is scheduled for January 26th at 10 a.m. There is currently a remote class that is taking place in Dover, and I was able to jump into the last spot available for that class. This should work out well because it will allow me to be available while others take a class later in the year. This class has me tied up on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights from now until May 7th, which is why I cannot be there to attend the meeting with you tonight. For that, I apologize. Budget. As we are aware, we have come to the end of the 2025 budget year and are working on budgets for the 2026 budget year. I have a preliminary budget proposal complete, and I'm ready to meet with the budget committee and board to discuss the numbers as soon as the meetings begin. Training. I have committed to the department to teach another in-house basic fire school. Saturday, we completed the second Saturday of class and have covered fire history, safety, rehab, fire behavior, extinguishers, and forcible entry. Moving on to search and rescue next class. Along with this class, we will still hold our regular Sunday training sessions twice a month. General, all of the day-to-day operations are going well. Thank you, and I am happy to answer any more questions you may have. Matt Lockler, Sangerville Fire Chief.
So yeah, so one thing that he mentioned, obviously, he's taking classes until May, so when we get ready to meet with him for the budget, he requested either a Monday or Friday. Or weekend if you choose, but I'm thinking Monday or Friday.
Monday, Friday. Okay,
One other thing, while we're talking about the fire department, he spearheaded the, idea of giving a benefit supper for Brian and Liz. The date is gonna be February 21st. It's gonna be at the, Grace Bible Church, community room. If anyone is away and wants to, or isn't gonna be at the meeting, they can actually send us a donation and we'll make sure that Matt gets it to give to the family.
and what's the time again?
5 days.
5 days.
5 to
Was it, somebody posted, Facebook post maybe?
She made all the posters.
And then Matt posted it last night, and then we've been sharing it a bunch, so. And I made like 45 posters for him, dropped them off this morning, so. They'll be plastered everywhere.
8. Okay. All right, moving on, town manager's report and road commissioner's report. Currently, that seat is empty, the town office. I've not fielded any complaints about the roads this last storm at all.
I've had a couple, but I've talked to Orman, and one of the issues, we're just gonna use a different access for the issue.
Okay.
He was backing up into a driveway. That seemed to be an issue because when he backed up, he left sand and salt. So instead of using that driveway, we're gonna move down the road a little bit and using the next driveway, which happens to be Scott Reynolds.
Okay.
So problem solved. He seems, I mean, he checks in with me. I haven't had any other complaints than that just one issue, which Brian was dealing with prior to him being sick.
Mhm.
So we fixed it. Other than that, it's just trying to keep the office, you know, any complaints, any work that needs to be done, getting budgets ready. Road commissioner's been pretty easy. Trying to find all of Brian's files is a little bit of a task, but going through everything on his computer.
Mhm.
So we're getting there.
Next item is select board concerns.
Good.
I have none. Okay, well, next we're gonna move to, we have 2 executive sessions tonight. So at this point, we'll adjourn this part of the meeting.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody looking for an aquatics director position, got me one of those super soon. Because I don't think that was it.
Yeah,
Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
thank you.
See you.
She said her husband's got a mowing business?
What's that?
Her husband's got a mowing business? Where's that at?
She lives in St. Albans.
Oh.
Okay, the time is 8:06, and we are going to enter executive session under 1 MRSA subsection 405 6E, legal counsel. Okay, the time is 9:05. We are exiting executive session, where we had legal consult with our attorney. We're now going to enter executive session under 1 MRSA subsection 405 6A on personnel matter. The time is 9:05. Okay, the time is 9:36. We're returning from executive session, which contained discussion on the personnel matter of our town manager, his absence due to sickness. What we need to do is appoint an interim for our town manager position until we can determine when Brian will be back. I would like to make the motion that we move Michelle Nichols to interim town manager until what time Brian can come back.
Second the motion.
And it is a vote. Okay, so at this point, we'll sign the certificate of appointment for Michelle to fill in as interim for Brian until he returns. Okay,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I second that motion, and it's a vote. The time is 9:37, and we are adjourned.